I'm back with an extremely triggering topic, a topic that is often ignored. And when people try to speak up about this topic, they're often silenced or gaslit. Now, let's talk about Black femicide. We have a problem. And no, the problem isn't weaves, sew-ins, lace frontals, or wigs. No, the problem isn't acrylic nails. No, the problem isn't lashes. No, the problem isn't the way Black women dress. The problem is that everyone has always felt comfortable disrespecting Black women, dehumanizing Black women, assaulting Black women, experimenting on Black women with no anesthesia, watching Black women who are pregnant and most vulnerable and ignoring their concerns until they pass away, ex-trafficking Black women, feeling entitled to the labor and love of Black women without giving anything in return, starting an entire popular hip hop and rap culture that was built on the degradation of Black women. This public, also social media lynching that is occurring right now in 2025 of Black women. Make no mistake about it. All of this social media stuff with everybody degrading us and tearing us apart in front of the world, it's got to be a digital lynching. That's what it feels like. And in my opinion, that's what it is. Judging us and saying that we are worthless women for doing things that literally every race of woman does. Devaluing Black women publicly. And what's unfortunate is that even though the white man has historically participated in this behavior, this degradation of Black women, the Black man now proudly does the same. So much so that Black culture is inherently connected with the disrespecting of the women in their community and proudly stating that they have no loyalty to Black women and they owe us nothing, even though without our wombs, they would not exist. Without the support and care and loyalty that Black women have historically shown Black men, they wouldn't even be able to function in society right now. But with this very violent disrespect of Black women, this very open statement to the world that Black women are trash and have nothing to offer society, this culture that encourages everyone to view Black women as worthless, and with that, it makes it so easy for the world to look at us as less than human, subhuman, even beneath an animal. And in my opinion, that is why so very many Black women are being taken out, and in so many different ways. This is the reason why, in my opinion, Black men are slowly but surely becoming the new face of family annihilation and domestic violence unalivings. Now, I heard about the horrific story of Star Tucker. She had only been dating Charles Carson Dowdy for roughly 4 months before he lost control and rage unalived her by pew-pewing her at least 7 times. It hit her and running her over with her own vehicle. Now, in an article I read, a man that worked with Carson Dowdy said that he told him that everything with Star Tucker was good. And then some rage broke out and then he pew-pewed her multiple times. That's insane, you know? And then when the police finally caught up with this man, he stated to them his life is over. And my thing is that's a concern for you? Because if it was a concern, how could you let yourself become so emotionally unregulated that you would do something like this? Not to mention you hadn't even been dating her 6 months. But once again, when you view Black women as expendable or as they only have worth if they are serving you, in my opinion, it is so easy to do things like this. And I truly do believe that the majority of Black men and the world, it's the world too, if I'm keeping it a buck, view Black women as expendable or as tools. The same way non-Black people could have us take care of their children, watch their children, even back in the day, breastfeed their children, and still think that we are unworthy of decent human respect. And, I still think about to this day the horrific story of 19-year-old Sade Robinson, who was unalived and dismembered after a date with Maxwell Anderson. She couldn't even make it until 21. And then because the man that she chose to go out on a date with was YT, all I saw in my feed was black men making fun of her losing her life and saying that if she chose a black man, that wouldn't have happened to her. When we know that that isn't true at all. And I just heard about the story of Ashley Elkins, who has been missing for a week. But police just arrested her boyfriend because they believe that they have strong evidence that he unalived her. And I still haven't forgotten about the story of Sophia Giraldo, who tried to help domestic violence victims herself, only to become one. Her estranged husband lured her outside with the intent of exchanging the kids, and then this man ran her over with his children strapped into the vehicle, even flipped the vehicle over, and then exited the vehicle, crawling over his 11-year-old to stab her in the chest. And I made sure to use examples in this story here of black men, a white man, and a Hispanic man, because I want black women to truly understand that all men are a risk of all races when it comes to our lives. Why is that? Because the world doesn't respect black women. No races of men are built or taught to respect black women. They are not. And when you do not respect the black woman, black femicide is always there behind, lurking in the shadows. And as soon as a man feels as if he is not getting what he can out of a black woman, oftentimes this is the sad result. And of course, now, before people say, well, black men are the biggest ones that are doing this. Yes, of course, we have a bigger risk factor when it comes to black men because most crime is intraracial. But still, I really want us to be really careful out here and not think that this can't happen with anybody, because it can. And it was said in the first story of Star Tucker that Charles Carson Dowdy was wanted for assault in 2023, which means that he has a history of violence. And I know oftentimes we as black women, we want to give a man a chance, a brother a chance, a black man, he's had so much hard times and had to struggle. But no, if a man, this goes for any man, but right now we're talking about black men. If a black man has any previous record of assault or violence, he is too much of a risk. He must be disqualified immediately. If he has been in trouble with the law, I really just don't think that he should be entertained. And of course, the easiest thing, because I know people will come in and say this as well, would be to tell women, stop talking to men. Don't entertain men. Don't date men. Separate from men. But men and women are always going to come together. And that, if you don't believe that, then you're not living in reality. You're not living in reality. So my thing is this, is that the only thing that we can do then is to give women the tools for success, or at least lower the risk, if you get what I mean. Because, being with a man is a truly risky endeavor. Because a man with no record, no previous record, he can also flip and unalive you too. So I want y'all to know that too. I'm not saying that, a man, not just because they have a record, they can still do it. That is absolutely true. That has also happened many, many times, but we got to be realistic. There are always going to be women and men that come together. There's always going to be women that decide to take a risk and look for a man that they don't believe is like this. So let's just keep it funky. All right. So what I'm trying to say is the best thing that we can do is encourage those women to really be careful, be discerning, and really listen to their woman's intuition and their inner voice. And also the opinions of their friends and family. Because if you bring some man around and don't nobody like them but you, and your family isn't the type that just hates on every person you bring around, you need to listen. Also, you don't need to get deeply emotionally attached to any man for at the bare minimum, at least a year. He should know where you work. He should know where you live. He should know where you go to school. And I don't care if it offends him. You have to tell him that it's for your safety. And if he really truly cares about you and he's aware of what goes on with the male gender, then he will understand. Period. He'll understand. Because oftentimes psychologists say that 3 to 6 months is usually when a man or a woman will show their true colors. So, and if you notice in the story of Charles Dowdy, that happened within 4 months of them dating, right within the window of what I'm talking about, you know? And before I say this, let me just say this also. I don't want to make it seem like I am blaming these women in any way. I'm not trying to say that it's their fault because they didn't do this, that, and the third. I am not saying that. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And if we know better or we have the right tools or we know what to look for, we can eventually do better. But this is not their fault at all. You know, I've made mistakes as well, and I want y'all to understand that. And with that, I'm going to tell y'all a story. I'm going to tell y'all a story, and it's not even funny. When I left my first husband, he was very abusive, physically, emotionally, verbally, and financially. And, you know, I remember just being so drained and tired and exhausted that I felt like I didn't even want to live. So I had left him and went to stay at a friend's house. And it was the summertime. So, you know, she had her door open like with the screen. And, you know, my ex-husband, well, he was my husband at the time. He had come to the door and asked her, was I there? And she lied and she said no. So he left. And then maybe about 15 minutes or so later, we looked up and this man was inside the kitchen. And we were, of course, scared. He started yelling, screaming, telling me that I was going to come with him and that I was not going to leave him. And, you know, I told him to calm down, relax, and I would never forget. I would never forget this, even though it has been so long ago. I touched his lower abdomen in an attempt to calm him down, and I felt cold, hard steel. I lifted up his shirt, and it was a pew-pew, all right? And he sat there and told me, yes, what you think? You coming with me. We about to take a ride. And I told him, no, I'm not. I said, I will not come. I said, if you're going to pew-pew me, then you're going to have to do it right now in front of everybody. And, you know, I was scared, but I was just so emotionally drained at that point that I just didn't even care about my own life. And, you know, he did this in front of everyone. You know, everyone was there. Well, who was there was 2 women and children. And this Negro looked like when I told him, go ahead and do it, he was just sitting there thinking about it. Like, was he going to do it or not? Could he get away with it or whatever? And he just left. And I was terrified, of course. And I truly believe that if that had happened to me in this day and age and not back in the day, I would be dead right now in the ground. That would have been it. He would have pulled it and he would have did it in front of everybody and I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be making these videos. Truthfully. And I just want, you know, you guys to know that we as women, we've just got to be very careful because these men don't respect women. I would say the men that truly respect women are in the minority. And Black women have it even worse. And that's why we as Black women, we've got to protect ourselves. We've got to create community within each other. We can't be infighting, you know, being haters against each other. We have to be showing each other love, real kindness. We need to be building up safe houses, safe spaces, arming ourselves, going to the range, being educated about what you have that you can use so that you can get to it quickly and do what you got to do and protect yourself and your kids if you have some. Carrying pepper spray. And also something that is never talked about is that if you have a violent male family member, we as Black women have got to stop coddling them, got to stop enabling them. You better tell that young woman that he brings around that she needs to get the ASAP and that he's not a man that she should be entertaining. Instead of sitting there and being fake and talking to her, knowing that your brother, your nephew, your uncle, your cousin, your daddy likes to beat on women. He likes to cheat on women, or he likes to touch on kids, and you know what's going to happen to her, and you ignore it because you want to protect that Negro. You've got to stop doing that. You know, that is terrible. We've got to stand up and realize that we are powerful. We are, and we do have the ability to protect ourselves if we put ourselves first. We are not powerless. And, I hope you guys understand what I mean. And I just want to say once again, I am so very sorry to any Black woman that has ever experienced any form of abuse. I truly am. I know how it feels. And I truly hope that you are healing. I know for me, it has been a gradual process. And even though I am out of that marriage and I'm into a healthy marriage, I still have scars to this day. And I beat myself up often for ignoring red flags and going against my woman's intuition. And that's the reason why I'm so hard on women saying that listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. That the majority of women that get into a bad situation with a man, they saw something. They felt something. They had a red flag, but they rationalized it away. And a lot of times we do this because people tell Black women they should be satisfied with anything. Oh, he got a job. He working. He seem to be okay. Girl, go and give him a chance. But I feel kind of weird. Oh, no, girl, you better give him a chance. And then therein lies the problem. You know what I'm saying? So I just want y'all to know I'm never judging any of y'all. I'm not, because I've been in the same positions before in my life as well. I just chose to break the cycle and not do it again, And I just hope that with me sharing my experiences or telling stories or giving tools and tips and tricks that I can stop, even if I can just stop one woman or one girl from getting the scars that I still possess on my soul, I will have done my job. I wouldn't wish any of these type of things that's going on right now to my worst enemy. But, I guess I'm rambling here, y'all. I love y'all. I love you, Black women. You are truly a thing of beauty. And I hate to see us being treated as if we are not what we are. But anyway, I digress. If you watch this whole video, please do me a favor and drop I don't even know what number could really, encompass what I'm trying to say. But I'll just say, drop a 2, all right, in the comments down below, because men that do this, you already know they're disgusting. I can't even say boo-boo because I feel like it will, reduce the seriousness of what I'm saying. They're absolute filth. They're disgusting, So please drop a 2 down below. And if you can't donate to my Cash App above to help support the channel, that's no problem at all. Just do me a free favor. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on YouTube, where I can continue to hopefully help some young Black women or young Black girls or Black women in general or women in general to not make the same mistakes that I've made, or not be in positions to where they're no longer here on earth because their lives have been cut short by a man who was not worthy of them in the first place. And ladies, I always love to hear from y'all. So it's a safe space in the comments. If you want to talk about your experiences, just drop your thoughts, comments, and feelings down below.